fellow cinema enthusiasts, my name is Christina and welcome to another Let's Get Reelz movie review. Today I am still on a roll with reviewing the Indiana Jones canon. I am reviewing Last Crusade today, which is probably one of the most beloved of the movies and probably definitely the most popular of them, I'm gonna say. Everybody loves Last Crusade. It's got a great story, it's got a great cast. Harrison Ford and Sean Connery make the perfect father-son team, so let me get into a little bit of a summary for you. Last Crusade begins with a young Indiana Jones, I believe from about 1913, and it shows that he is on a Boy Scout trip, and on this trip into the desert, he finds these people digging, and he recognizes a cross that belongs to an old explorer named Coronado. So Indy tries to climb down into where the digging is happening, and he almost gets away with it. He's this close, but on his way up he hits some wood and the wood falls, and it alerts the crew and the head of this dig to his presence, and he's chased all over the place. He's chased on a train, on a circus train, and we get to see where his fear of snakes comes from and where he has a scar on his chin, and he finally gets home to his father, but his father makes him recite the numbers in Greek instead of really listening to him when he's saying like, oh, look what I found, and his father's just too busy to pay attention to him. So the sheriff comes and tells Indy to give the cross back to the guy who was digging. And then flash forward to years later when Indy is older and he is going after the cross once again, and he finally gets it. Indy is at school, he's swamped, and he climbs out the window of his office to get away from all his students, and before he climbed out the window he found a package that had been sent from his father. He goes to his father's house and he finds out the place is ransacked and that his father is missing. He is brought to a man named Walter Donovan in New York City who says he's looking for the Holy Grail, and that Indy's father had been looking for the Grail all his life. Indy knows that he has the Grail diary, which was his father's, that he had gotten in the mail, and he needs Indy's help in completing this quest to find the Holy Grail. Indy's just more interested in looking for his father, who he finds in a castle in Germany. Before that, Indy had met this German, Dr. Elsa Schneider, who was under the guise of, helping him out, and then turns out she's a Nazi and was part of the help in capturing Henry, the older Jones, played by Sean Connery. It's a race with Indy and Henry, the older Jones, and Sala and Marcus, who are also back in this movie, and the Nazis to get to the Holy Grail. As I said, Last Crusade is probably one of the most well-known and the most well-loved of all the Indy movies. There's just something about Last Crusade that's so much fun. I remember my grandparents had this on VHS, and every time I went over to their house, we always had to put it on. I guess I just like the story of the Holy Grail. It's just like such a popular story. Everybody is well-versed or just knows about it, and then the Nazis are just something that, even though they're like pure evil, is just something that fascinates all of us, and you put those two together and you get Last Crusade, and it just makes such a great story. It makes such a great race to get to this historical artifact, and everybody just loves it. It's just one of those movies you can watch over and over again and never get sick of. It's fun from the moment it starts to the time it ends. Harrison Ford and Sean Connery are great together. Their chemistry was so much fun. It just looked like they had a ball filming this together, and there was a lot of ribbing between Henry and Indy, and we just find out so much stuff in this movie about Indy through his father, such as Henry famously saying Indiana was the dog, so Indiana Jones is really Henry Jones Jr. because his father keeps calling him Junior, and at the end Sala asks, what's with this Junior? And then Henry says Henry Jones Jr., that's his real name, and Indy does not like it, which is why he's called Indiana after the dog. Last Crusade was a great way to end this trilogy before Crystal Skull came out, so it was a great way to end such an exciting adventure series. And I think it was a great way to come back from Temple of Doom. I'm really not a fan of Temple of Doom. I reviewed it some time ago and I just could not get into Temple of Doom. I'm really not a fan of the story. I'm definitely not a fan of Willie as a female character, and I think Last Crusade bounced back from Temple of Doom so perfectly. You had as the lead female part in this a German woman, Elsa Schneider, and she reminded me of a Bond girl, because in Bond movies there was always two women. One of the women is like, you know, his main love interest in the movies, and then the other one is kind of like a seductress, a temptress, and she's on the team of the bad guys. And that's what Elsa was. She was a Nazi, she was working for them, and she like seduced both Indy and Henry. And I thought that was great. You know, this whole series, Indiana Jones as a character is a tribute to James Bond. That's what he was thought of. He was an adventurous James Bond, an archaeologist James Bond, and he did all this crazy stuff, and so you had to like really throw in the female aspect, I guess. And this one, to me, from the Bond movies that I've seen, it comes a little bit more closely to the James Bond movie, along with the female lead in Elsa Schneider, and I thought she was great. She was a very good character. She was a strong character compared to Willie, not as like compared to my favorite female character, Marion Ravenwood, but she was so much better. Anything was an improvement over Temple of Doom as a whole, but Elsa was just such an improvement over Willie as a female lead character, and it just made me so happy watching her. Even though she's bad, she was just really well done, I think, for this movie. It's not like she wasn't supposed to be there, like she was just thrown in for the hell of it. She was put there, there was a reason for her, and she was just great. She was so good as a character. And on the James Bond note, you know, you have Sean Connery coming in and playing Indy's dad. They had to do that, you know, and there was apparently a lot of actors from James Bond movies. I haven't really seen a lot. I've seen some here and there, and they just really went for it. They're like, you know what, this is based off of James Bond, let's go for the whole thing. Let's get the first James Bond, the best James Bond. Let's get some of the actors that have been in the Bond movies over the years, and that's what they did, and it's just great. I mean, it works out so well, and obviously there's differences between Indiana Jones and James Bond, but that Bond essence is really there with James Bond, the original one himself, as Indy's father. I'm hoping that all of you guys have seen Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. If you haven't yet, you are absolutely crazy. It's such a fantastic movie. You'll really like it. And let me know if you've watched it for the first time and what you think and how awesome it is and just how much fun it was to sit and watch this movie. There's nothing dated about Last Crusade at all. It's just such a great movie to sit and watch and enjoy. So that was my review of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. If you liked my review in any way, please give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below so we can further discuss Indiana Jones, all the movies, or we can just discuss Last Crusade, Harrison Ford, anything you want to discuss about Indiana Jones, leave those in the comments. And also in the comments, if you have any suggestions of what I should watch next, whatever movies you want, if I pick your movie and I watch it and I review it, I will give you a shout out. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button for future Let's Get Reelz movie reviews. And as always, keep watching movies and stay absolutely fabulous.